Hello, everyone. This is Carrie, and I am here again for Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. And we are here to recap, celebrate the end of Celebrity Circle. Celebrate just because it was so good. Not celebrate that it's done. I'm mad that it's done. I could have watched another 3 weeks of this easily. So I am lucky enough to have two people with me today, not just one. So first, let's reintroduce our first podcast guest. Coming to you from Toronto is Leandro. Leandro, tell us what you thought about episodes 3 and 4 because we missed you for those two.
It was so messy. These people were ready to play. It was so entertaining. That's the good thing about the circle. It's always just so eventful, and I loved every second of it. Maybe because it's a shorter season, there was a lot going on very fast, but I love it. And I'm also glad to be back. And thank you for having me one more time.
Oh, you are welcome here anytime you want. So we have a new guest. This is my friend Fern from the fake country of Wales. I just don't believe it's real. I believe it's an animal, and that's it. So Fern is also a longtime camp friend. And Fern, tell us what you thought about the first 4 episodes, and tell us why I'm your favorite American. Don't worry, the competition is not listening.
I definitely will be answering that. No, I thought it was so good. I was just telling Carrie then, we've just come off the back of watching the US circle. And to be honest, my first initial reaction, I didn't know how the celebrity aspect would work, because I was a bit like, I don't know whether it was, it would be a bit too cheesy. But if anything, I felt it was juicier. It was better because they know who these people are and what to expect. And I thought it was fab. It was really good.
That was one of the things that Leandro and I talked about a lot. The first 2 episodes was, okay, it's celebrities, like, what are we going to get out of this? But that extra layer of them knowing each other and having things to, like, legitimately figure out catfish stuff versus they might be catfish.
I loved that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it was because as well as that, like, we have an element of, like, being involved in it as well, because we know these celebrities as well. So we are also like, they wouldn't say that, they wouldn't do that, even though we can see who they are, obviously, but we notice what they've said wrong or what they're doing wrong and stuff before they even have messaged them going forward,
Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm going to tweet the circle and be like, if you're going to do real people seasons, it has to be from a group of friends. And so that there's that layer of being able to catfish each other and have background information on it.
That would be
a good twist for a season. That would be a very good twist.
Yeah, like they all know each other somehow and all connected in one way. That'd be so cool.
Circle, if you're listening, my Venmo is the same as the username next to my name, AGD26. I know the Circle US has Venmoed me before because the Circle US, if you you had to do something, I can't remember what, but basically, like, they followed you back on Venmo and they sent you like $3 or something like that. And then like 2 weeks later they sent you $1. So like I made money to like follow them. So I know you got me. I know you got me on Venmo, Circle. This is a mutual relationship at this point. So just keep sending it my way.
Sounds good.
All right. So now that we have next season planned out, that's great. I'll start the casting process immediately. Let's get into episodes 5 and 6, aka 5 in the finale. So we left episode 4 with the 2 influencers who were Denise and the boys, aka Rachel Riley, having to block people. So they're like in the hallway and the episode cuts off. We get back and Denise. Wait, am I on the wrong thing? Okay, I'm going.
You're fine.
No, I'm on the wrong episodes right now, so it's fine. It's
totally fine. This one was going into right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had something. I have the wrong episodes up. It's fine. So anyway, I'll fix it while you guys talk. So we get Rachel Riley, aka the boys. They go and block Peter Andre. I was not ready for that at all. Were you?
No, not at all. Not even remotely. I think I don't really understand why either, because like obviously it's worked out in their favor, but even after they'd chosen, I was like, why? And they also kept going on about an all girls final all the time, and they didn't explain that. They didn't explain as to why they wanted that as an all. I was like, unless they thought that they were more confident in the people with the people that they were with, and they just knew those. But yeah, no, I did not see it come in. I was shook.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I'm an idiot, and I just went to episode 6 and not episode 5. I had the right thing up. Okay, full disclosure, I woke up at 5:30 this morning to watch the finale, so everything has blended together. So you just got the beginning of episode 6. Let's backtrack to episode 5, because I'm like, the loose women are still here? I thought they were gone like last week. They're not. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. So, in your defense, Gary, if people watching the podcast right now, they know already what happened. So
you true. They also know the order of events. They're probably like, you're cutting in the middle, but whatever. Chronological order is tough for everyone, especially when you have it typed out in front of you and then you doubt what you've typed out. I thought I like copy and pasted the wrong doc, whatever. Okay, so let's backtrack a lot. The loose women are still in our lives right now. They are here. Okay. They are.
That seems forever. That seems forever. I can't believe that.
I literally watched it yesterday too. I think. Like, what the? Okay. So, I have that the loose women choose Big Nasty. What did she choose them for?
Because they were eliminated on the triangle thing.
Yeah. Jesus. My notes have become so shorthanded. I don't even know what they mean.
Yeah. So
okay, host this. I'm out.
No, just while you figure out, I'm just like there was the triangle twist, right? And they have to be going back and forth, like to decide unanimously. And then the circle decided like that they would accept the majority of votes. So GC, aka the loose women, were eliminated and they had to visit someone. So back to you, Carrie. You got this now.
Episode 4 today, right? Like, so the loose women choose to go and visit. That would have been a very helpful keyword, Carrie. Big Nasty. And so I thought a few things were funny here. One, when they went to the DJs and they had one of them like straight up dress as will.i.am and looks like will.i.am. If you were to walk in, you'd actually think it is him. I was like, that's genius.
How many times did they do it?
I mean, they did it every single time they thought someone was going to come visit them.
It would be a great moment.
Sat on that table, like literally like, I don't think he's coming. I don't think they're coming. Nope. Again. Oh, I love that.
A second part that I thought was hilarious was when the loose woman actually walked into Lady Leisha's apartment and she's like hiding behind the Big Nasty photo.
A little note, like bear hugs.
Please don't murder me, Gemma Collins.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if it was as well.
So we get a few pieces of information out of this. So the loose women think that will.i.am is a catfish, which like, good job by you. Yeah, you were the first person to come up with that idea. They also think that Peter Andre is real. Lady Leisha doesn't know if will.i.am is a catfish, but thinks Saffron is one. And the loose women tell Lady Leisha that Duncan went to see them, and that's like the person that he kind of like called out as a catfish. And Lady Leisha had created that whole like scheme based off of her, what she thought was fact of, well, they went to see Saffron and Saffron is a catfish.
She was so out of touch though, wasn't she? Like I was watching her, I was like, what game are you playing? Why are you in a different game than everyone else because
This was
I
probably
was
my
like, where
favorite
are you
thing.
right now?
This is probably my favorite thing the entire season. Just the paranoia and the overplay from everybody. I
Yeah.
love that they added in a way that wasn't on purpose to show people, oh, I'm 100% this person is a catfish, and it was not. Like,
Yeah,
it was so.
There was like no doubt, was it? If this one is a catfish, this one is not. This is the way we're going
It was
forward.
just so wrong.
Yeah, their ability and willingness to speak in absolutes was crazy because it's like
so much so that Lady Lucia was like, saffron, saffron, saffron. I was like,
saffron,
whoa.
full stop. Saffron, exclamation point. Saff.
Yeah, all different variations.
I love that. From like an audience point of view, it was so entertaining to watch that moment unfold. I love that.
Even
No,
the
it
circle
was
was like, all right, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah,
we're done.
I know this episode 4 stuff still, but in my opinion, I think the circle should do like, if you don't get a decision unanimous, it's gonna turn on you. So now all of you were in the block.
Hey, circle, Leandro's Venmo, if it's not next to his name.
We don't have Venmo in Canada, but I have PayPal.
PayPal. You can send it to me and I'll get it to him. I promise.
I don't trust her, circle. I don't trust her.
So, anything else that you want to talk about in terms of their little meeting in before the loose women leave the game?
Not really.
Other than the fact that Kay walked down in her pajamas. I was just like, that is a full representation of their whole game. Just sleeping, messing up, and panicking, essentially, was their whole game plan.
That's how I would play, so that was very relatable.
I've literally done all 3 of those things on this podcast already. So I've panicked, messed up, and I'm in the sweatshirt I slept in last night. So I too am in my pajamas. I just so happens I showered during my period off, so I look presentable, but actually I'm still wearing the clothes I slept in. So me, the loose women, we're all the same. We are all the same. All right. So then we get the news feed and we get the message from Gemma. So Bag of Chips said that they did a great job, and then they cut to the boys, and the boys were like, "Wow, they were awful."
They were
at
really,
and I trust the boys on this one because they're very close to GC, right? So I trust their judgment on that one.
Yeah,
but to be honest, like her as a personality is so well known. Like, you know, everyone knows her, and they all know the same person, because I don't think there's many layers to her, if that makes sense. I think what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. And so to pick that type of character to go in as a catfish is a good character because you can play it up, but not if you don't know it. Like, not if you don't know it that well, because you would have to have known her inside and out. And the fact that they had her book there and they put Amy, I know it's going back, but they put the Amy Childs in. Oh my gosh, I was like, I can't believe you've done it. Like, that is literally just signed off your whole experience. You're done. So I think they've gone in, they've picked who they think is the most fun person that they could probably like bamboozle, but didn't realize how many people would know her.
And she had a lot of connections within the circle, like whether it was with the actual player or with the people who were playing someone, like Charlotte being there, and then the boys and all that. So like, it might not have seemed that she had that many connections, she actually had a ton in there.
She did, and it was just a risky thing to not know her 100%, you know?
Yeah, we were praising the circle celebrity format so much, talking this different dynamic, this literally this new layer of they know it all outside of the game. But most of if we can put in a flaw, it would be the expiry date of the characters. Like it gets too comical too fast. It's like they're making versions that of themselves, they're just too big to be real.
Yeah.
That's something that is kind of like on the flow side for the celebrity aspect of it.
Not to like completely continue praising the boys more than I already do, but I thought that they played it perfectly. You know what I mean? Like they need it if or when they do this again, and I hope it's a when because I enjoyed it so much that like I'm hoping that the model of catfishing is how the boys did it in terms of like don't try to be too much, but you do need to know enough about the person in order for it to be a worthwhile experience. Otherwise, you're going to get caught so quick or just like laughed at. Like every single person was like, there's no fucking way that's will.i.am. However, we'll play along. Like, because we're so confident you can stay. It's the people in the middle that we're not sure about that we're trying to get rid of.
No, I think they played a really good game as well, to be honest. Like they did. And they picked someone as well who like they could know enough about, but not anyone would know loads about. Because like Rachel Riley she's well known like in the UK. I would like to think a lot of people would know her because she does Countdown, and Countdown's really, really popular, and it was such a big thing that Rachel Riley was taking over Carol Vorderman in Countdown. It was a really, really big, like, oh my gosh, like Carol Vorderman's leaving and stuff. So I would say that they do know of her, but they don't know her properly. So they had a little bit of room to play with her character a little bit, so they could keep her quite relaxed and play, like, as they said, a safe game without seeming like they didn't know her. It was just that's what she was like, and they kept going. So I thought it was a good choice for sure. At first I was like, what are they doing? There's so many other people like Rachel Riley. And when the maths question came up, I was like, oh, fucked it, absolutely fucked it. When they had to count, because Rachel Riley would have done that in like 0.5 seconds. Like she would just been bam, done. So I was like, and there was Pete like I was like, oh, fucked it, absolutely fucked it, gone. But no, they played it fab.
So they have a show together now, correct? And it's kind of like a spoof of like a news show, but it's basically like news about reality TV. And I saw that they had Rachel Riley on, I think last night, or having her on very soon.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
To talk, like she's going to tell them how she thought they did playing her. So I am going to track that down and watch it.
Just that would be that would be good.
That would be fun. So once we get the video from the Loose Women saying that they were playing Gemma, the circle chat opens and immediately Big Nasty apologizes for the night before, but will.i.am just railroads Big Nasty was like, I never should have listened to you. will.i.am was like, fuck you and the horse you came in on. I am not happy I listened to you. So now obviously Lady Leisure is like, okay, don't trust will.i.am. That short-lived alliance exploded.
I love their attitude though. That you realize that was the moment you realize they were all or nothing. They were going in, swinging in every direction, and if it paid off, then fab. But I think at that point they probably realized that they were up against it a bit, and that no one really believed that it was will.i.am, and that they were just gonna.
But I did think it was a good play on Little Sure, Big Nasty side to just be, because Big Nasty like praised like the loyalty aspect of it, and he was all up on GC thing, and he was just like I'm gonna stick with my word. I'm not gonna turn on Gemma Collins, and he didn't. Gemma was a victim, but that blood was not on his hands. So I thought there was a nice follow up. He had to do it, and he had his reasons, and everybody understood it. So I think Lady Leisure's game was not the best one, but I feel like that moment was a good.
Yeah, and I thought that it helped with like the feedback that she got the next day in that circle chat, because Denise was like, we understand your loyalty or whatever to what your word is, and kind of like gave that room for other people to then be like, yeah, I guess it's okay that
Yeah.
We went 7 rounds with the same votes and you wasted my time. It's completely fine. Thank
Got a
you.
name in 10 different ways to try and get your vote. And of all
Like,
people,
are you
like
spelling
it
that
was
in Gaelic now? Like, so, after I thought this next part was a lot of fun, where we get the rap battle between Big Nasty and will.i.am, and the fact that they're both catfish playing rappers, I was like, what are they gonna do? Given like Lady Leisure does this for her job, and the DJs have to spend enough time around music that they
of course, like they probably would be in that in that way the best person. But the one thing I would say about that is which I feel like the other people missed a beat, is that's not really like the way will.i.am raps, is it? They were clever raps, but that's not really his style, and they were all completely bamboozled by the fact that they had there was a rhyme in rap and they were able to send it in when they were like, yes, will.i.am, will.i.am. And I was like,
I'm trying to think, how does will.i.am rap?
Well, it's just not really.
I can only think of like Fergie in the Black Eyed Peas. Like if you told me to sing a will.i.am part, I could probably just be like,
words, don't they?
Drops. Is that him or is that another guy?
Yeah,
like I don't
do you know
even
what I mean?
know.
Like he makes up words and he kind of just puts. I wouldn't necessarily put him as someone that links in all of these rhyming lyrics, which all make sense to the next one. I see him as someone who just says what he wants when he wants and adds it into a beat.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like he said, like all of his songs, they make up words all the time. All the time, Black Eyed Peas. They've got about 5 different songs with all random names.
Fergalicious, Stephanie.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all. It's all. I can't even think of.
It's more like on a pop side,
instead
of like
it's just a bit
side.
But when you rap battle, you're supposed to be destroying someone's life. You can't just like make up words to do that. You need to go for the jugular.
I just think if it would have been will.i.am, that would have been the time where he would have been super like too clever for his own good. Do you know what I mean? He would have done something which they wouldn't have already got. Where they were all like, yes, with it. So I was like, I did think they missed a beat and they were probably a bit bamboozled by it, I think. But
yeah, I love that Lila Shore was completely offended when she lost the first round. What? Like my flow? Like that was awesome flow. And people are commenting like, oh, it didn't the structure was not as what's the word for that? Like was not matching like will.i.am because
aren't raps meant to rhyme?
Yeah, like that's a basic thought process. So it was very fun that you got offended by that.
I loved when the boys were like, I think it was Pete was like, well, whoever is playing will.i.am is doing a great job of like straight up knowing it's not will.i.am rapping.
will.i.am at home watching that, like seriously, is that what you think of me, guys?
So we have the rap battle. I think that's like a fun thing where almost no one's feelings
really clever.
get hurt. Yeah, but it did offer an opportunity for some like analysis on those two. Then we get the alert for the rankings, so they have to submit their rankings. And they like have those conversations of like, oh, I'm gonna rank this person first, this person second, blah blah. And like Rachel was like #1 across everyone's board at that point. Rachel playing the game
massively.
So the thing is like when you're everyone's #1, something that's important, I think, is who is your #1, because you can only have one #1. And were you guys surprised that Bag of Chips was was Rachel's #1, aka Kim?
Yes, yeah, but at the same time, I think because they played such a good game, I think the reason why they believed it was her was because, like, I don't know whether they had much to go off of, and I think she kind of like wasn't really a threat, so kind of fell under the radar. So they weren't really picking apart they were only picking apart the ones where they thought, oh right, okay, like let's try and work it. I think they were kind of happy for it to be Kim, and if it wasn't, then it doesn't really matter because they weren't under threat with the game. So I think that's where it came from. I think they were just like, yeah, it must be Kim, and that's okay. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like she's not a threat. She's going to go out anyway.
I think the flaw on the boys' games were definitely the overplay aspect of it. They did not want the most popular person to be on top every
Mhm.
round. So they were like, from these people that I know that won't be on the top, I'm gonna put the one that does not vote me out in case they get the influence status. So that's what I think Kim came from on that round with the Rachel Rai vote.
Mhm. And I wonder if they had any idea of like that it was going to be a double blocking, because I think strategy wise, which a lot of them are on top of, do you want to be the influencer going into the final five? Probably not, because then people are like, okay, everyone's voting them high, so let me vote them lower. And then like if everyone's doing that, that's how you end up in 4th or 5th place in the finals. So not knowing that double blocking was coming out, there wouldn't be another influencer voting and ranking. That
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, in hindsight, if they go back and think that they must have known how long they were going to be in there for, because they're
Yeah,
celebrities.
they've got to. Yeah, exactly. They must
So,
have
like,
given them a time frame, so they know exactly what to expect and how long everything's going to be. So they must have known that it was coming up to the final, or at least it was going to be the final around that. And I think you can that was shown by Denise's game, and
mhm.
because you could tell all of a sudden she went from being like to right, who's a catfish? I'm gonna find him, and they're out. Do you know what I mean? Like out in the
Yeah.
last few days, and I think they must have known, and I think it would have been definitely a factor for sure.
Did you think it was interesting that Big Nasty and Peter were each other's number ones?
I just didn't. It was interesting because I didn't understand it. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit like, oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
that's, where did this come from? Like I was a bit like, it was that type of reaction. I was like, huh? Rather than, oh, that's
Like
weird. Like why
Rachel
they
and
did it was
Denise.
fine. I was like,
Yeah, Rachel and Denise makes sense. Even if
yes,
it was like
yeah,
Rachel and Saffron, it makes sense. But then, like,
yes,
Leandro, what do you think of it?
I think it's more with the music aspect of it being like big, like British,
yeah.
and also playing the loyalty card of it. That was a big thing for both of the games. Like I'm loyal, I'm real, and Peter Andre is someone that is like married and stuff. So I feel like that was something that they want. Like I don't think they think they were like catfishes. So I feel
Yeah,
like okay, that's the real person that I want to take to the end with me. So kind of on that vibe, but obviously it's an odd choice for power duo.
Not to jump
yeah.
too far ahead, but the egocentrism of everybody thinking that they were the only catfish there. It's like that everyone else was real
Why
except
were they all like, oh well, that's it. We've got all the
there's
catfish out.
there's
Like
no more.
we're
Like,
done.
were they
They
given a
must all be
number
real.
or
Yeah,
something?
no, I
Like,
don't
I
know.
don't understand.
It was
Every
odd,
time,
wasn't it?
yeah, every time I said, I'm like, where is this? Why are you assuming this? So,
It
all
was,
right.
yeah.
After the rankings get submitted, we get Denise opening up a chat with Kim. And I feel like at this point, we should expect that if Denise is opening a chat with you, she is trying to suss the shit out of
Yeah.
you. She is trying to gut you, you
This
little
is,
catfish, clean you out,
this is
and
not
feed you to the
going
family for
well.
dinner tonight.
Literally.
I just want to remember one moment that I think it happened already on the timeline
Go
where
for it.
Charlotte said, "Why Denise is using the fish emoji all the time?"
Oh
Like,
my god.
girl, like what?
She's funny. So Denise comes in and she asks like a cleaning question of like how to clean like the backsplash, fully knowing how to clean it. And Bag of Chips is in there like, I don't know, like what the fuck?
It was, right. First of all, like, why is Bagger gone in with no cleaning knowledge? Like, none. None. Like, I wouldn't even say it was that complicated of a question. When she was like, right, I'm going to answer a cleaning question, I'm going to know straight away. I thought, oh, bloody hell, what's she done? Like, what's she going to ask her? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way she's going to. And then it was like, how do you clean grease off a stainless steel board? I was like, surely that would have been your general knowledge that you would have clued up on before you're going in.
I
As
mean,
the
Lady
queen of
Leisha put the
clean.
wrong age of the person she's catfishing as. So I I have a very low bar of what these people know of
No,
the person they're catfishing as before they go in.
It got to a point
No,
that I
fair
started
enough.
questioning if the production didn't assign them with their catfishes, because why wouldn't do your research? Some people did,
Yeah.
of course, but some clearly did not. It was
Yeah, because
bad.
like it's just weird, isn't it? Because I think like knowing them and stuff, like it's like, all right, okay, you know them, but you get their ideas of their personality and all that aspect. But like Kim Woodburn is known as the Queen of Clean, and that she
Mhm.
can do anything and clean anything. That is her sole thing. You know, she's known a little bit for going a bit cray cray on Big Brother, but like her main like career is that. And I just thought like they could have asked anything, anything. And even when they came to see Bagger then, Bagger was like, I haven't cleaned anything. Look, I don't do any cleaning.
When I was gonna say that. Well, like we can talk about it now. When Denise comes to block her in a little while, and she's like, "Yeah, I literally have cleaned absolutely nothing.
I haven't even washed up. Like, how is it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing
Like
more.
I've barely cleaned myself.
Yeah,
Have not cleaned the apartment."
It
literally. And I
almost
was like,
felt it almost felt like Bag of Chips was just like the day before she opened Kim's Twitter account and just like, okay, that's how Kim acts. Because she was just doing tweets all the time. You're like, okay.
What I don't understand about the whole bag of chips Kim thing is like why with every single message they sent they changed their voice like, oh yeah, love Kim XX. Like what the fuck? Like no one can hear you, just you. Like we can
it was
hear
method
you.
acting. Do you
We
not
are-
realize she was like, I am in, I am Kim.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
then
like you didn't. Lady Leisure said she was method acting, and you didn't have her coming in as like, all right, guys, bro. You know what I mean? Like, just love you much, XX Kim. Like, where is his voice coming from? How many cigarettes did you need to smoke to achieve that? Like, what the fuck? It does Kim even sound like that?
Yes,
She
honestly, the accent dead on, to be fair. Is
Okay.
that so it was so I watched Drag Race and um the Vivian who won the Drag Race of Bagger's season
Mhm.
does a really well known Kim Woodburn impression, really
Mhm.
really well known, and they've kind of both of them because they're both quite friendly have kind of taken off with doing the impression and in turn has become quite friendly with Kim, which I think is why she's picked like so
Gotcha.
Bagger has picked Kim because they've been quite friendly and they think oh they know her well, and I probably think that from Bagger's point of view I do probably believe that Kim has signed off every time, probably does say that on the phone when she says goodbye. Do you know what I mean? But it's like a surface level friendship, isn't it? It's not an actual, that's not how she speaks 24/7. It isn't. That's her
And Baga is
voice.
a drag queen, and drag queen
Yeah.
when they're doing impersonations, they tend to go like to the extreme, like to the extreme. Period. That's
Yeah, of
it.
course. You've got to do the funny side of it, haven't you? For sure.
And for the circle, I feel like people were trying to look on the not so big moments of it. So that's
Yes.
the same thing with GC and
Well,
Will I
they just
Am.
wanted them to all go in there and just chat normal, didn't they? But like, I think it was interesting to see how they, because they were celebrities, they did go all out, didn't they? Like every catfish did like a pun on what they're known for
Yeah.
right at the beginning, and then it was just the ones that were able to adapt to being normal
And
are
I
the
think
ones that were
that
successful.
Denise was the one that picked up on it the most. And I think she phrased it so well. Like, it seemed like you were a caricature of Kim. Like, you were
Yeah,
this
no,
bigger
dead
than
on.
life
Yeah,
version of her. And that's what kind of like set off the alarms for her. But also, Denise is a professional catfish hunter. So,
I can't get over it. I can't actually get over the
what is
ability
your
that she
version of
has.
the FBI over there? Sign her up for that shit, or at least get her on the TV show
CIA, maybe?
Catfish.
I don't
I don't
actually,
know.
but like, and what is it? What is our variation of FBI?
Sorry, didn't mean to stump you. This isn't a quiz.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Not a quiz show. My
It's not-
bad.
I know, I know. But she was legit. Like, I couldn't get over it. Like, even I'm jumping ahead again, probably. But even on the bit where Rachel chose someone else other than her, then who's the most, she was straight away, she was like, I don't think Rachel would say that. I think she's playing a game. I was like, what? Over one little decision.
Yeah.
She's like, she's gone from this is my number one to woomph. Nope,
Yep.
it's a catfish. You're out.
Yeah.
Like, it
She
was
was so
real.
set
It was
on that.
real. It was mad.
Oh, it's the MI5, by the way.
MI5, that's it. Thank you.
Personally, I don't think that's the purpose of the game, the catfishing thing.
Yeah.
So I don't get, it's not just Denise, like in other seasons, you see the same thing as well.
Mhm.
I don't get why that's an extreme important factor for the game when it's just about like you being popular, like Carrie said on the first time we talked. It's about you. Make sure you're popular and the people that you're friends with that are gonna vote for you are popular as well. You're good. So I don't
I think
understand why
it's
people are
like,
just so
yeah, and I was noticing that, especially these last 2 episodes, they were just like very high strung on the catfish concept. But I think when you are a real person in there, that like that's the easiest thing to latch onto to then have like a reason to vote them out. It's like it doesn't have to become personal as much as if you were to say like, okay, catfish or not, I'm voting you out because you suck. Like that's entirely different. So I could see, especially as a real person, latching onto it, but it became a very important concept for these people the last 2 episodes, and I wish it kind of stayed away from that a little bit. But you understand, especially from Denise's point of view of going from the bottom to the top, and like how do you sort through this? That's it. And she was so good at it, like the easiest thing to latch onto.
And it was a short period of time as well, so it was kind of like they had to really like get stuck into it rather than it slowly building. And I think it was more like it's more an idea of like, well, I can do this being myself. I don't have to be anyone else, and I can do exactly. I'm when they were a catfish, like, to be honest, like, I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm sure it is really hard, especially to be in the mindset, but it's such a short period of time in this sense that it's like they could have a bit more fun with it than when you go in there just as yourself, because it's a fine line of being like, well, I'm just going to be myself and hope that people believe me. And you kind of get it, like, I can see how they get a bit butthurt over there, like, I am myself. This is exactly how I was going to act. So don't tell me this is how I wouldn't act. This is me. So I think there's that element where they just get a bit stroppy about it, thinking, well, I am me, and that's where the anger comes from.
That happened on the American season, right? The first vote out was someone that was being themselves, the model, and people thought, oh, she's just too perfect to be a real person. She's definitely a catfish. When you got like, what is that? Ryan, like the queer guy, Rylan. What's his name? Yeah,
I didn't watch and take notes on the. I watched it. I didn't take notes on it.
I watched it. I can't remember.
Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about, right? I think it's Ryan. I think that's his name. It was just like this explosive personality, and he was not trying to tone it down. And people bought that more than the person who was being themselves. So how do you get that between? I feel like at the end of the day, the authenticity like level is gonna like come out eventually, and people gonna rely on that way more than just explosiveness and yada yada.
Yeah, for sure.
So we get into the ranking results after that little chat. In 7th place was will.i.am, just living at the bottom. Big Nasty was 6th. Peter was 5th, and it became very evident that the women were at the top and the men were at the bottom. But it was more a question of, was this on purpose? So that comes up a little bit later in the influencer chat. So then we've got Saffron in 4th, Kim in 3rd, and then Denise in 2nd, Rachel in 1st. Any surprises there for you guys?
Not really.
I don't think so, no.
I especially after like how they showed everybody being like, Rachel.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't have been. I was pretty confident Rachel was going to be on top for sure, and then it didn't surprise me that Denise was 2nd. That's probably the way I would have put it in my head.
Yeah,
based on how everything was going.
So then we get an alert that the 2 influencers have to choose who to block. But then when they get to the influencer hangout, they find out that it's a double block and they have to pick 2 people to go. So there's some conversation that happens, and I'm going to quickly recap it and then we can go from there.
Yes.
So the boys bring up that there's the 4 women at the top and they're like, let's keep this girl power going. And Denise was like, no. I believe in equality and that the men should have as much of a chance as women do. And I was like, Denise, it is 2021, my girl. This is during Women's International History Month. Like, you're supposed to. Okay, Denise. Okay.
That was my Tyra Banks moment. I was like, I was rooting for you.
Yeah. Ovaries before broveries, Denise. Damn. So there was that whole component where she's like, girl power, fuck that. Let's get some dicks in here.
I think Sam and Pete were a bit like,
oh, they were like, okay, we'll mix it up, I guess, if you don't want to. Like, yeah, I thought that they were expecting her to be all on board for it. So Denise kept harping on wanting to get rid of the catfish. The boys asked about Saffron, and Denise was like, I don't see her as a threat. Denise wanted to keep Peter and doesn't think that Kim is real. So the boys want to keep Kim, and they don't care if Kim is a catfish. And Denise, again, not about the girl power. And as I have mentioned, she's all caught up on the catfish. I put it twice in my notes. That's how many times it came up during the conversation. And so then they settled on the idea of, okay, we each pick someone to block. So
I loved that bit though, when Denise was like, they were back and forth, like kind of agreeing, kind of not agreeing, back and forth. And then Denise was like, right, okay, well, we're obviously not going to agree, so I'll pick one and you pick one. And there we go. Let's just jump straight to the finish, and this is what we're going to do. But I think when Denise said about the Pete thing, when she was like, oh, we have tomorrow to, I don't think it was that she didn't want to get rid of him. I just think she felt confident that if she had more conversation with him, she'd be able to know exactly whether it was him or not. Because I think that's why she was like, we have tomorrow, like I'll let you know whether it's him or not. Like, I'll be able to work him out. He's not a threat to me, because I'll be able to tell you whether it is him or not, because I've known him for so long.
Right.
So I think it was more that aspect rather than like an alliance or anything like that. It was more like, oh, I don't have a worry about him because I'll be able to work him out straight away, rather than needing to keep him in for her benefit, And
the boys saw it as like, oh, okay, like these
alliance.
Yeah.
I know, like they're clued in.
What do you think, Leandro?
I do feel like this double elimination was an attack on each other. I feel like the boys did an attack on Denise by taking Peter, and I do feel like Denise did attack 100%. On the boys taking him. I felt like, oh, okay, so is this happening? Let's make sure that like we are tighter than ever, because now we don't have each other's lives. Kind of going that direction, but was definitely an attack on each other's game, and
you could see,
and
I think for sure. And I think if it was just because of Denise's reaction of like, no, we're not doing it that way. We're not doing it only girls. The boys were like, right, fuck you. Peter's going. Whether they thought he was a catfish or not, it was like, right, okay. Well, guess what?
Pete thought that Peter was real as well. So
yes.
You wonder if that played into it all as like a catfish trying to get rid of real people, or do you want to get rid of catfish? They didn't really bring that up too much because Denise was all over the catfish part of it.
Yeah. I think there must have been an element, because like Peter Andre is really, really popular, isn't he? So I think that was their time. This was my
first time ever here. Oh, you mean within the house or in the circle?
Well, just knowing in life, like
I'd never heard of him.
You've never heard of Peter Andre?
No.
What?
I had never heard the song
Mysterious Girl?
Yeah, so Abby was the one who told me about it. She was like, what? You don't know this? Like, if you've been on a night out in England, which I have, you've heard the song. And I'm like, nope. So
I wouldn't say it's very night outish. But they do little like variations of like the actual song. But it's more about the whole the like curtains hair, the real curtain hair that he's got, and the fact that he's like in this waterfall in this
Yeah,
video,
wearing these
singing this
baggy
song.
jeans that are soaking wet, which has to be so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
chafing beyond
It's
belief.
more about that. Like that's how he's known. But and he did I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and was it was very big back then. And then he married, obviously, Katie Price. So
Right.
he's and they've now divorced, and he definitely came out as the hero and she was definitely the villain. So he's very popular in the UK. Like
Denise would have
popular.
loved that. Denise
Oh
would have loved that.
yeah, all over it.
So was that before or after she won Celebrity Big Brother, Katie Price?
That was after. So when she won, no, so the divorce and everything. So Big Brother was after all of that. So she did a bit of a transition thing. So she was always known as Jordan. I know we're digressing, but
right. No, I remember reading that.
She was known as Jordan, who was like a glamour model. That was her. She went into I'm a Celebrity as that, met Peter Andre. They met in the jungle. They had this massive love affair. He wrote a song about her, which is the most god awful song you've ever heard in your entire life. I think it's called like Insatiable or something. Or Insania, something like that. Insania. I don't even think it's a word. Like he created the word and made this song, and it was just god awful.
So it's by will.i.am, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Making words up. There we go. And then they obviously had this whirlwind like marriage and all of that, and they broke up. And he definitely came off as the hero. She was definitely the villain. And then that was her time. Like, because I was shook when she came out of that, and in a positive light, like, because I've never disliked her, but I just didn't think the public would, if you know what I mean.
I mean,
but
she was sitting next to Katie Hopkins on the finale.
I mean, that'll be why. Yeah, exactly.
If you're watching this on video, I hope you see my facial expressions of knowing nothing of what the fuck is going on right now.
Okay, let's go back to the circle. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, this is awesome. I like knowing all this stuff. I just don't know it. I'm like, okay. This sounds great. I watched one season of UK.
He's crazy popular. Yeah, no. Yeah. So he is crazy popular, like in the UK, really, really is. So in that sense, I think Pete probably, so like the boys, and Pete probably knows that aspect and probably understood that going forward, he would be very popular amongst the cast as well. If it was him, so if they could really confirm it was him, he's on to a winner then, really, because no one really dislikes Peter Andre, to be honest. Like, no one does. So I think that there must have been that aspect of like, oh, whether he's real or not, let's get him out. let's mess with Denise.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Denise, and your anti-equality approach. And fuck you, Peter Andre.
No, she is about equality, not she supports men and women having the same chances, disregarding like any inequality that may exist that make equality happen. But whatever, this is not a politics podcast, or
no, it is
if you
not.
want to hear me talk about this stuff, just let me know, and I will gladly talk to you one-on-one. I could go for a while. So the last thing we find out for the end of this episode is they have to do the blockings face to face. So they're in the hallways. I think I would prefer to have it face to face versus like in text over the circle, because that way it's just like, I think that you find out immediately.
Oh my God, I loved it. That was amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good like component of this as well. So episode 6, we're going to actually talk about now, not like what I did at the beginning of the podcast, because I'm a fucking moron. So we get Denise going and blocking Kim, and we get the boys going and blocking Peter. So let's talk about Denise and Kim first. Denise said she was sure it wasn't Kim, that she thinks Peter is real, and Bag of Chips was like, you guys are all players. Like, you are all playing this. Did anything come from that blocking that stood out to you that you think is worth mentioning?
I was like, Denise, like, why? Like, the girls' strong thing was, like, the girls, obviously. There's men between the catfish, but it was going strong. And why would you mess up with that just to prove a point that you found a catfish? what's the logic behind that? So
Yeah, and I don't know. I think she got a bit crazy into the game. Like it wasn't just a little bit. That was the moment where I thought, oh my God, she needs to get out of this apartment because she is the circle now. Like she's not going to believe anyone ever again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like she was literally like, okay, you do you, I'll do me, and I'm going to slowly but surely, single-handedly rip these people apart and show you that they're all catfish. So I don't actually think. I think she just wanted to prove to everyone that she knew that Kim was a catfish, and this was her proof to be like, look, this is my second one now that I've showed you, just to put some confidence behind it. But I don't know whether that helped her game, to be perfectly honest, because everyone went into it knowing that Denise essentially knew who was a catfish and who wasn't a catfish based on previous experience, and she's popular amongst everyone, so no, we're not going to vote her very highly. So it did her over, really, didn't it? So, you know, in the long run. But I was shook that they picked Peter, though. I was shook because I thought they were setting us up to think that it was going to be something like that, but it actually was just going to be will.i.am and big nasty. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just had a feeling like they were doing that, and then when it happened, I was like, no,
I was surprised at the
shook.
Peter one, to be honest. So what I have here is, these are my exact notes. This is what I'm thinking at 5:30 this morning when I realized, like, wait, I did not set aside time in my day to watch this before I have to podcast about it.
Yeah.
Good job, Care. I wrote, this is hilarious. So then the boys walking into Charlotte Crosby, just like all yelling at each other. They both thought each other was real. So I guess they're both doing a great job. Charlotte thinks that Big Nasty is Big Nasty, and the boys think Big Nasty is a catfish. Charlotte thinks that will.i.am is fake, and then we know as this episode progresses that Pete thinks that will.i.am is a catfish, and Sam believes that he's real. And Charlotte knew that, or didn't think that Kim was Kim, and she's obviously right. So they're both confident that Denise is real, and I thought it was hilarious that the boys took the dollhouse and the cardboard cutout of Peter Andre.
They're just so entertaining to watch. I didn't know them before the show, and it was so much fun to just get to know them. Very good. Like I said before, players that play for the audience as well. I love that. And they were 100% fun.
Yeah, I think they have very recently really like advertised their friendship. So they've been friends for a while, I think, but very recently have really advertised it like, look, this is TV gold, essentially, because you've got Pete, which is the grumpy old man, and then Sam, who adores and worships Pete, like the ground that Pete walks on, and they think that this is fantastic. And I do think they went into it like that, just thinking that this is the best opportunity forever. But I love the fact that, like, when they got in there, they all knew who each other were, and they were like, "Oh my God, like it's you!" Like they were so shocked that
it was like the Spider-Man meme in real life. Just
like literally.
What was so Sam with the golf ball thing? Like, what was that about? I didn't get that at all. I was watching the living room, and my partner thought that Sam was legally blind. Thought it was like one of those things that blind people use.
Yeah, like
the one, yeah. And I was like, no, I don't even know what that is, but I guess it's part of his character for some reason.
I don't know, maybe like just for entertainment purposes, they had like maybe like a putting set or something.
Yeah.
I do think that if you were to take me and my dog Nitro and put it into and personify it into a British male duo, it would be Pete and Sam. Sam is the golden retriever. I am Pete. Like one of those. The dynamic in that relationship is very similar to what me and my dog have. Like he's the character and I'm the reason. That's what they had. Like I saw a lot of myself and my dog in those two. Maybe that's why I love them so much.
And props to Pete for checking the the spelling all the time, of not spelling, just like the wording
The
of
pronouns.
the pronouns of
Mhm.
we to I.
Oh, I know. It's a good bloody job, isn't it? My heart, when they were sending these messages, I was like, no, they said we,
I
they
genuinely
said
thought
us.
that would be their demise. I
I
was
thought it was as well.
positive that was going to
I
happen.
thought I was like, they're bound to have one time where they go, where they say the wrong one. Bound to.
I wonder what they would do to save themselves in case that happened. I feel like that would be very interesting to watch
I
as
know. I
well.
kind of wish it did happen.
Yeah,
To
I
be
was like,
honest.
please.
Yeah.
The only thing I could see, and like I'm speaking like a generation away from this, but Fern, you can probably comment on it more, is like I know that my grandparents, they're from Scotland, when they would talk about people, like they would say like our May, our this person,
Yes.
our that person. That I wonder if they could have like swung it that way if they mess up the pronouns, but it would depend on the situation.
And it's very like geographic, that is. Does that make sense? So like it would be a very like northern thing to do,
Yeah,
and
like
to
my
say.
grandparents being
It
from
wouldn't,
Scotland would like
yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily be something that like we would say.
yeah.
And it wouldn't be, I think, like Rachel Riley's like London based, so I think they would have had to have really spun it in that
Yeah.
way, and it would have had to have really taken hold, because I think that it might have been where they would have spun it like that, and people would have, some of them would have gone, oh, okay, fine, and then other ones would have been like, oh, that, well, she wouldn't normally say that. Why would she say? They would have had to have made up some lie about how she's, actually, which they probably could have, to be honest, because
Yeah.
like no one really knew Rachel Riley that well, did they? So they probably could have spun it in a way where she's from so and so, and that's how they. Do you know what I mean? And that's how they speak.
Not Denise. Denise knows everything about everybody. Not
and knows
Denise.
everyone.
Denise is sitting there like, yes,
Yeah.
finally. Stroking her cat. Like, they finally messed up. Like, where the fuck she get a cat from?
Sharpening.
So the next thing that happens is the news feed, and we get messages from Peter and Kim. Charlotte, like her last thing, just coming in and like poorly singing Mysterious Girls. I was laughing a lot at that.
The fact that at the beginning, everyone was like for the first note or two, everyone was like, it's Peter. It's Peter. We've knocked out Peter. And
this is what he sounds like a cappella.
Yeah, without auto-tune.
If there wasn't those waterfalls in the background, it would sound the exact same.
All the hair, all the body.
And then Kim left her message, aka Bag Chips, and they kind of do a little montage of all the catfish left, thinking they're the only catfish left, which is adorable, really.
No.
So the next alert, everyone finds out they're in the finals, which is great. And then the circle chat opens up. There's a bunch of congratulations, way to go. And for me personally, like I mentioned, I feel like this is another situation where it's like Catfish City. Like we're in a school of catfish. We're trying to figure them out. Like, Denise, just put your fishing rod away. Like we're celebrating. Like, calm down.
Denise.
Yeah. Just let's have.
She must have drove herself. And do you know what? The one thing I did love about it was the fact that with all like her proper scheming ways, when she's thinking Dr. Eve, all of the things, she's just like cooking a sausage, making some bolognese, sorting a thing. There was the most casual, evil villain thing in the world. She just like, making some soup. Like, she's a catfish, he's a catfish, he didn't say that yesterday. That's what I loved about it, was the fact that it came so natural. Like, who are you? What have you done with Denise?
What does she do in her spare time that has made her so good at this? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. And like, I remember the first thing I said when she came on and they announced the cast, because like, well, obviously Duncan was there, and she was rated low. I wasn't surprised. I was like, oh well, she will be. I said she's not going to be someone who is noticeable, really. Like, they'll just be like, yeah, it probably is Denise, but it's fine, let's just get her out. So it didn't surprise me when she was low at all. But what did surprise me is how she just came into that game. She was the game in the
Leandro, do you remember me being like, she's gonna come back and she's going to create havoc. She's gonna take this as a kick in the ass, and she's gonna come back and play this. And he was like, I'm not sure. I'm like, I don't know.
She was like, right.
I said this episode one of these podcasts. It was one of the few things I was right about. So.
Yeah, that's true. Like the first thing that I was watching, because she's the first one that got introduced to us, right? Was Denise, and was my literally my first note. That's gonna be interesting because she knows people from real life, and I think
every man and his dog, didn't she?
Yeah, and I was like,
she's like, oh, I work with so and so.
It didn't wage that well because I was not that entertained at the end. Like, I was entertained with the show. Don't get me wrong. I was just like, oh, Denise, do something else. Bring something else to the table. Yeah. Like this catfish hunt, it's over. But yeah.
Have either of you watched the second season of the UK Circle? Leandro, I think you said you didn't see that one yet.
No, the first one.
That one's good. Go back and watch it. Fern, have you seen it?
Yes, I have. I think that's the series that I've seen all the whole way through.
That I liked how they had their little catfish hunting crew there with the famous drummer's son. I can't remember his name. Me and Abby loved him. And the old dude, they kind of came together, and they were about finding catfish, but it wasn't their only personality trait on the show.
No, they were fun anyway, weren't they? But yeah, I wonder with Denise that I think if she'd had more time and knew she had more time, I don't know whether she would have come so hard after. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I think she was a bit like, okay, we've got a matter of days. I'm going to find out as many people as I possibly can. And I think if she'd been given more time, she might have, taken her foot off the pedal a little bit, because it must have been exhausted. She must have been like this in her sleep, working out all of these different equations of people that have said. She was a bit ridiculous towards the end.
Yeah, she got super into it. To be fair, I would be the same way. Especially when you have, as well, because she was at the disadvantage of being by herself. It's not where you have the other person to bounce things off of, and just not only
talk sense to you.
You have another voice it might not be a voice of reason, but it's at least another voice to go back and forth with. Yeah. So, and you could just tell she's type A, very, very detail oriented. She's got her ducks in a row. And so I understand it in a way. But
I got it as well.
Probably after she left was whew. All right, deep breaths here. Apple Watch, tell me to breathe. I need the notification to breathe. Help me here.
Yeah, I do think that she probably wouldn't have been quite as bad had she knew it was going to be a longer game rather than a short game. But I think there's got to be an element of that in people's games as well. I think that as much as I think they all did come out swinging a little bit, didn't they? In different ways and in wrong ways. Some of them came out in the wrong ways, but they did all really come out swinging, thinking that we've got a short amount of time here to either prove to people we are who we say we are, or to find out the people who are the catfish. Mm-hmm. And I think just being in the bottom at that first day just lit a fire under her ass, didn't it? And she was like, right, let's go.
I think so too. So our next part is where Rachel chats Big Nasty, and so they let off and were like, hey, we talked to Charlotte and she thinks that you're real. And Big Nasty was just like, yeah, thanks for not blocking me. Didn't So then they were like, so do you know of any catfish? And Big Nasty was just like, thanks for not blocking me. They got nothing. That was the one person that was able to resist the charm of Rachel.
Well, she didn't. Rachel just didn't seem to care. She was a bit like, it's all right. Okay, fine,
well,
perfect.
To be fair, everything she thought the exact opposite was true. So
true. She probably was just like, oh, do you know, at this point, say what you think.
I love that about Layla. Sure, that made me laugh so hard. And I'm not gonna jump ahead and tell things that only happen at the end of this episode, but. It's anyone game. That's all I can say. There's no formula for a winner. There are certain things that you can do and you have to avoid to do, but it's just a lucky game at this point.
Yeah.
Well, especially because the rankings aren't in yet. So like there is the opportunity to like try and influence some stuff. But she was just like, nope, I don't. Thanks that I'm still here.
Bye.
I'll roll the dice on whatever you want to do. Like you can rank me first, you can rank me last, but okay. She like could not X out of that chat fast enough.
I know. It was so strange. It was very strange.
Short. So then we get to a game called the Golden Circles, and they have to vote for someone to win each category that comes up. So the first one was like they dipped their toes into it. The award for best performance, will.i.am took it with his rap battles. So congratulations to the DJs. Very happy for you. The next one was most likely to be my friend after the circle, and Rachel and Denise tied. So anything that you really took away from that one?
Not really. I guess it was to be expected, to be honest. Like, I think in that aspect, you're always going to go for the people that you think are 100% real. Mm-hmm. And I think whether they liked it or not, there was an element of doubt with everyone else, wasn't there? Like Rachel, they were so confident that Rachel was Rachel, weren't they?
None of them thought that will.i.am was going to be their friend after the game.
Shook.
But, he would have got my vote. That's
yeah, just keep voting for him and just see if this would like invoke a friendship at the end.
But hey, no, I think my number in our private chat.
Real name.
So this last one is the one that caused a little bit of drama. Not like drama per se, but it had the most like impact on the game, which was the award for the most genuine player. We had Rachel and Saffron. And most specifically, they showed us that Denise said if Rachel picks anyone besides her, she's going to be like, what the fuck? And then Rachel split down the middle. Pete was like, we should pick Denise. And then Sam was like, no, but Saffron is genuine and so nice. It's like, I don't know, man. And Sam's just like, Paul, here. He's my dog now. So, and then they go with Sam's thing, and Denise is like, bitch wants to play a game? I'll dare you. She went to bed real quick.
So she did from 0 to 100.
Burn that bridge. Like, I am coming to her apartment. Let's put a thing in front of the door handle. Do not let her out. Rachel,
well, not Rachel.
Yeah. She was
Denise.
So mad. Leandro, what did you think of that whole situation?
Well, predictable, because it was Denise. I knew that she was gonna storm out somehow or find a reason to doubt that someone is a catfish out of literally anything on that game. So if they couldn't have picked like literally anyone else, it wouldn't be as entertaining as was Denise and not getting the award from Rachel. So I love that. Like at that point, like I knew that Denise wouldn't have a chance at the end game. I knew that because she was just not buying, but like getting into fights with the wrong people for wrong reasons. So I don't know, girl, but I love it to see. But as a player,
yeah, it was great TV. I loved how aggressive she was about it. I loved it, and it was such a small little element. Like they'd already picked that they were going to stay friends with each other, and then it was just one like the most genuine. And the thing is, do you know what? If they pick someone really random, like will.i.am or Big Nasty, like or any of them, I would have got, because like it doesn't really make sense. But they have picked someone who is very genuine and has come across as that, and come across as very innocent. But she was not happy. She was, you're dead to me, never speak to me again. I never want to see you, whether you're Rachel Riley or not. Literally, I know where you live. Like it was out there, but it was good. It was good TV.
So our next alert is the final rankings, where they are told like, okay, you have to submit them now. And we kind of just get like brief snippets from each player saying how they're going to vote And it seems like everyone's coming into this strategically. It doesn't seem like many people are coming into it being like, all right, I've gotten to this point. Now I'm going to vote genuinely who I want to win. It all seems they're like, well, if I put this person here, it's more likely to like raise me here and this and that. So what did you think of the feedback we got on those rankings? Did you expect any of them to kind of be like, all right, well, we've gone here, or were you expecting just the cutthroat?
There's two things that I think about the final round on the circle in general in every season that when I watch, I'm just like, this could be a little more fair. I feel like for the last round, I feel like they shouldn't know that is the last round before they submit their rankings because everybody's trying to like think in a way to put themselves in first. So maybe if they didn't know it was the last round, we could expect a more genuine results in the end. That's how I feel about it. And the second thing is just maybe the last round should be more cumulative, represent the entire game and not just the last round. I don't know if that's a rule on the circle, but I'm assuming not, since like all the seasons that I watch, I feel like they do round by round. I'm not sure, but I feel like that's where the game could be a little more faithful to the premise of the show. The popularity contest aspect of it.
Yeah, because I think it could have gone. Obviously, we'll talk about this at the end, but I agree with you in that sense because I would have been really disappointed if it had gone another way based on the way that they'd voted. Because they just all had voted that way, didn't they? They all voted tactically.
Yeah.
None of them voted. I think Saffron was the only one that voted real. I think, which is just an example of a whole game.
The voting, like who voted for who where, because the circle actually put it on their Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we can talk about that when we get to that. But I hear you, Fern.
And so I do think that. And it backfired on them all, really, I think, didn't it? It didn't help any of them out, to be honest, voting in the way that they voted.
So let me expose my nerd side here. I've played in 2 online circle games, and the first one that I won, there was an alliance of 4, and then there was Carrie. And so I knew I was no one's number 1. However, I was able to be everyone's number 2. And so I think what happened was like that group of 4 were all like, yeah, we're going to vote each other. But all of them were secretly like, go fuck yourselves, and pushed me towards the top thinking that like, oh, the other 3 are going to vote like how we said we would, like emotionally and like how we really want like this person to win. And I think all 4 of them got strategic, which elevated me to the first place spot. And I personally think that like as I saw this happening, I'm like, oh, someone's gonna win using like the carry route here. Like someone's gonna win the way that I won. Not because I personally don't think I deserve to like win that game. I was like the last one in, all this stuff. Like I didn't deserve it. However, mathematically, and I think that was my advantage going into it, was knowing like I don't have to be anyone's number 1, but if I can be as many number 2s as possible, it's better than being anybody's number 4. That like I knew that there'd be some strategy from the other ones, that I thought that someone was, I didn't know who. I had no idea who was gonna win. Like I could have seen will.i.am coming like in 1, 2, or 3 just because of everyone being like, he's a fucking catfish, so I'll just put him high, thinking no one else will. Like, I genuinely thought that was going to happen based off of what we saw here. So I was definitely like in it of like, all right, I have no idea, no clue.
Yeah, not a clue.
Fern, did you watch the international ones on Netflix? The international ones?
I've seen the US one.
You didn't watch the Brazil
not Brazil
one.
or France.
Okay, because Brazil, that happened as well on the finale. It was just so obvious that they all wanted to put themselves on the top and put some other people down, that the winner was a little, I feel like was people's number 2 that actually was the winner.
Yeah.
So
I think it baffles me how they don't think that other people are having that conversation as well.
Yeah, like I'm the only one
if you're thinking, like if you're thinking it, it's not that far-fetched of an idea. So based on, especially in this celebrity one, like based on who you think is a catfish and who you don't think is a catfish, do you honestly think they are all voting genuinely? No, they are all going to vote in a way to get themselves to the top. So
Yeah.
if you do that as well, then it doesn't have the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know why, the DJs were like, are we doing tactical or are we doing real? As if they were the only ones that have had the thought of going tactical. I was like, well, everyone's going tactical, like
Yeah.
other than Saffron, I think, which is probably what has skewed the votes, I think, a little bit. Is I think she's been a bit more genuine with I might be wrong.
She put Big Nasty at number 1.
Yeah, but I think that was because
I don't think Big Nasty is her number 1. I think if she's voting like genuinely, I think Rachel is her number 1. So
yeah, true, actually, yeah.
That's brand new information. I'm like shocked. Did she actually?
Yeah.
Every single person voted Big Nasty number 1.
What?
Yes.
Because they all thought it would be the last one. Oh my god.
Yeah, legitimately every single person voted Big Nasty as number 1. That's why, so spoiler alert, if you wanted to wait 15 minutes for us to get there, if you haven't watched it, right? That Big Nasty, I'll pull that up in a minute when we get to like the revealings. But yeah, Big Nasty was everyone's number 1. So that's why when you were like Saffron vote, I'm like, nah, girl, like she put, and I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite parts of the circle in general is the final dinner. And if you watch season 1 of the UK circle, one of my favorite reality TV moments of all time happens on there. I don't want to give it away in case this is your like first circle viewing experience and you're going to go watch the other ones. But to generalize, you have someone who was a real person, firmly believed that someone else was also real and found out that they were a catfish, and just like the disgust, the emotions that came out of this situation, I just was like, oh my, this is why I'm watching this show. This is perfect.
I think it might be my favorite part of it all. Like,
it's
the
so
build
good.
up to just have that little. It happened a little bit in the US one. I don't know whether you remember, but with. I don't know whether to say whether
That's
people
fine.
are going to be watching, but like with Rebecca.
See, I don't even remember.
And everyone was okay. So Rebecca was. He was playing his. I don't know what his name was. That's it. Yeah. And they like Shabam, is it?
Yeah, Shubham.
Who was absolutely convinced. Put my house on this. That is Rebecca. She is who she says that she is. She's authentic. She's real, and all of that. And then when she walked in, and they were all like, and there was you could see there was an element of like, the fuck.
Yep.
Like, I put my trust in you.
I love this component of the show.
It's probably the best bit, from my opinion, I think.
So
you watch it all to get to that.
Yeah, it's definitely good. We get Denise in there first, so she's sitting there, and I wish they had, or I don't know if she even had this thought, but there's only 5 people left, and there was like 12 chairs at the table. So you have to wonder like what she's thinking of, like, are people bringing their families? Like, what is going on here? Because
have they got support?
Yeah, like what are is like the crew joining us for dinner too? Like, I don't understand. So
that's
Denise
one thing, actually. That's such a big thing, considering she was literally like the whole way through. Didn't notice how many chairs there were.
Mm-hmm. It didn't come up, and I wish that, like,
I'm sure it would have if she'd mentioned it.
Yeah,
because that would have been a good thing to. But yeah, mad.
Point that out. So then the boys come in second, and Denise's reaction was so good when they came in, and they're like, "Oh, hi," and she's like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, Rachel," and she's like, "Oh, really?" Like, the fact that she didn't figure it out, and that was her number 1 for so long, must have just crushed her inequality soul.
You could see it hurt her inside.
Like, oh, okay. So the DJs come in next, and at that point, that was like the peak of the fun for me for that the whole dinner experience. Like, at that point, I literally just wrote down, OMG, this is so fun. Like just the back and forth about it and the vibes that came from it. I was just enjoying that so genuinely.
Everybody's just a
my
good
favorite
sport.
bit,
I
yeah.
love that.
My favorite bit was when just before they came in, Denise said that she reckons Big Nasty was Melvin.
Oh yeah, true.
Melvin and
Yeah.
Ricky.
Yeah, and I was like, what? Like, how is that even a thing? And the fact that they came in and they were like, we knew it, we knew it. I was like, no, you didn't. Like, you didn't know anything. And it went on for ages.
Yeah.
And ages. They were like, I knew you were Big Nasty, I knew it. And it was like,
They're like, no, we're
no, we were
Will.i.am.
Will.i.am. Like, what do you mean?
And then
It was
you
so
have
good.
Saffron next. So imagine, I just thought of Saffron, like imagine walking into this as her. You have 5 people in there and there's only a final 5. You got to be like, what the fuck is this? The only person that is who they said they were was Denise. And then it's like, who are you guys? And like with them all just going back and forth yelling about them being Big Nasty and stuff, like that must have been crazy for her to walk into. And then you have Big Nasty come in and I think that was a shock
Tiny
for
Lady
everyone as
Leisha.
well. So they get an alert. And my big point for this is they get told like, okay, come on down. We're going to do the final reveal or whatever. So they never actually ate dinner. They just sat there. They just sat around this very nice table and there wasn't food. I would have been pissed. I've been like, no, at least bring out the rolls with some butter. Like they've had to cook for themselves the last 6 days. And then they come into this lovely dining room and they were not served any food. What was that?
At least bring out the rolls.
Yes, I need a snack.
I need a snack before we go through this.
I mean, this is coming from the person who literally right before this was licking peanut butter off of
the spoon. Yeah, exactly.
So I would expect some rolls with butter at the nice dinner at least.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that, Carrie. You too much. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even know
I was
it
hungry
either.
this morning. I was like, I can't eat breakfast because I need to make sure I finish this before school starts. And so I'm just sitting here being like, there's no food?
It's strange.
And then they go downstairs or wherever it is. Maybe it's upstairs. Maybe it's like adjacent to where they were. I don't know. I've never been in that building. Maybe one day. And they bring back the rest of the cast. I thought it was cool having them there. And
the only thing I wished they'd done is I wish we would have been able to see the reaction of that cast and like of them finding out who they were. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think it was focused as enough. I would have liked to have seen them being like, so and so is so and so, and seeing their reaction and
it felt a little bit rushed, the last episode.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
they should have done the reunion like apart, maybe like a 3-minute episode apart. It was very rushed the last episode.
Yeah.
Some other things I would have liked to see is if they could have gotten into contact with like Gemma Collins, Rachel Riley, and like the people that they played and were like, did you watch this? What did you think? But also, I guess it wasn't airing at that point, so
no.
maybe just like
when was it filmed?
I don't know. I haven't looked that up
because it's because there's no COVID restrictions with what they've done. They've all it looks as though it's been filmed like a normal series, and since we've come down with COVID in the UK, there's the whole year. There's been some sort of variation of COVID rules, which TV shows have had to adhere to. So I'd be interested to know when it was.
I mean, I think they could have had them quarantined because in
they must have for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking it must have been it would have been like 5 months ago, I think, at least.
I don't know. We'll have to find that out because I know that like within the actual apartments, they don't have any like camera crews. It's all like tripods and drones, or not drones, but like well-placed. So they could have done it during whatever time, as long as it's like, okay, these people like can't leave this building or whatever. So
but
we'll figure it out.
Like when they came down, and like Emma Willis was there as well, and the
Izzy
whole
said it was
cast of it.
7 months ago.
7 months ago. Oh,
there we go. Thanks, Izzy.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
I don't know when that was. Like, I don't know what day or month it is right now, but counting backwards months, that's a skill. Let's see. So February, January, December, November. Are you sure?
I don't know. That was a guess.
I've seen you do math before, so
I know exactly.
Oh, she watched a Saffron Barker video. Okay, we'll try this one more time. So
I did
February,
watch you. I was
December,
like, what?
November, October, September. So August-ish. That's like when things were kind of at their like low point, though.
The lowest probably for us.
Yeah.
That was probably the only time they would have been able to do it with because that's what I mean. If they'd filmed it recently, there would have been some element where they would have had to have put in there with regards to COVID. Do you know what I mean? Rather than where there was like literally no mention of it at all. And it must have been obviously because they all became part of the same thing. But I know if they'd filmed it recently, they would have mentioned it and would have discovered. Do you know what I mean? Because like every other TV show has, they've had to acknowledge that they're abiding by COVID rules and whatnot.
That makes sense. What else did you think of before they actually released everything? Like things that happened in the rankings, or not in the rankings, before they released the rankings. Everyone was back. Just when they had the whole group there, I thought it was just like, oh, this is a really fun cast. Like, I don't know these people, but having like watched it, like I've genuinely enjoyed watching them on, I shouldn't say my TV, like my second screen on my computer setup. Never made it to the big screen up there.
Yeah.
At one point, the host, is her name Emma Willis? I think she called them the boys. And I was like, do you follow me on Twitter? Like, watching this podcast right now? Like, that's my nickname for them. So TM with the circle around it. Again, Venmo me for my idea.
You should just leave the Venmo here at this point. On the
You should just do that. My name for next time. And I thought something that was funny was when they were the guys or the DJs when they said, "Yeah, we talked to Will.i.am before," and he basically said, "Anything someone says, just go bigger." Like that was Will.i.am. Just one up everyone.
One up everyone. Yeah,
it really does. They showed a video of Denise calling out GC, which I thought was like probably the most dramatic part of the season.
It was fab. It was really good. I loved it. And I loved the fact that
I don't know where was I.
Which country?
She was like, DC is a liar. But I was like, and when the loose women found out about it, they were just like, because Denise is a regular loose woman, so she knows those two very well. So so Loose Women is obviously a panel, it's a TV show. It's a bit like The Talk, I would say, and they Denise is a regular on the show, so she would have known Nadia and Kim very, very well.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, so it was fun, like when obviously. Oh, sorry. Well, there you go.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. They don't pay me for nothing. And
you're right. I don't pay you.
I know. I should start charging. But yeah, so they would have. So I think I loved their reaction when they were a bit like so shook that Denise was so after them. And with the clips, I wish I would have liked to have seen more of that, like them watching the clips and showing what they'd gotten through and done, you know.
And the other video we get is the first pronoun mix-up that the boys have when they said our steps instead of my steps or whatever,
which is the best one.
Yeah, that was the best. That one literally had me.
It nearly went.
Same.
The only reason why it didn't went was because the circle was like, "Are you sure?" Like, last chance. And they were like, no. But it was a bit of a delay. Like it was. I was like, it's gone. Message is gone. But it did. Like it waited a second, like to be like, you're wrong. Yeah. I would change this.
Like, couldn't like a red squiggly line show up underneath, like it's Microsoft Word or something? Suggested edit. The boys paid for Grammarly on their. So then we finally get into the final rankings, and in fifth place, to no one's surprise, is Will.i.am. And then joint third, which I think is very fitting, that it's Denise and Rachel. So skipping off into third place
Love
together. Yeah. Because they ended up being very closely tied throughout this whole experience.
And they
Then,
look sabotage each other, right? With
Yeah.
the influence around, like
Mhm.
I think so. It was poetic to see they both tied for position.
So then in second place is Saffron, which means our winner is Lady Leisure, Big Nasty, which good for her. Especially with like as they chimed in throughout the season with like her sister passed away within the last year of breast cancer, and then her saying like this is the reason that I did it. Like despite the fact that I thought that she was wrong 98% of the time.
Yeah.
Like in some ways that's kind of like what I appreciate about the circle is like it's not just what did the winner do right, but how did everyone else do wrong to not win. And I think that's like a layer of complexity in that final vote that sometimes goes underappreciated because it's not just a winner, but there's 4 people who didn't win, and why weren't they ranked higher, and like why was the winner ranked the way they were.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about our winner? Leandra, what do you, because you and I were going in on Lady Leisure episode 1. You and I were like, we thought you were going to do so well.
There was 2 different things. Like when it comes to analyze the winner for the circle. I love that there's no formula. You just there's no how the way to predict. There's no way to, like you see on the reality TV shows, like you don't get like there's the jury or there's like the audience vote in the UK Big Brother and stuff like that, and usually there's a formula for the winner. I don't know, there's some type of characters that are always winning, and I feel like on the circle you don't see that happens all the time. There's a few seasons, of course. There's only 2 in the UK, Celebrity now. There's 1 in Brazil, in France, but the winners are so different from each other.
Yeah.
They are all so different. So I love the aspect of it. Game wise, the best game was not rewarded. I feel like the boys, they did play best, both strategically and both as a person, and it was entertaining to watch. So I would be very happy with Rachel winning, but I'm not mad at this victory. I think it sets a good unprecedented winner for the next series, and maybe people will stop doing this stupid thing of just trying to be so strategic to the point that you damage your game for the person that you actually think is the bottom to win in the end. So I'm not that mad about it. How about you, Fern?
No, I think I would have been pissed if Saffron won.
Really?
I would have been, yeah, I like her. Really, I like her as a person. I would have just been pissed if she won because I just think she coasted. I just think she was just herself and just went through quite comfortably. Do you know what I mean? Like other than
I think
obviously
that's one of the perks
Big
of playing
Nasty.
yourself, though, is like you don't have to worry about like catching yourself. And she even said that, like, I just tried to stay out of shit, and I tried to like not tell lies and be as me as I could. So I think like in a way though, because that was purposely her game plan, and if she had won using that game plan, I don't know if I would have been mad about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I just don't know whether I felt she was just there to just have a good time, which I understand that most people were, but I like the fact that someone was there. It's the person, someone who won was really playing the game, whether that would be, because even I wouldn't have even been mad if Denise had won either, because although she was playing herself, she played the game.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that someone really went into it and really tried to like work this puzzle out and really go for it, whether that be a catfish or yourself. That's why I'm glad someone won like that. I just would have been just a bit like, ugh, if Saffron won, because I don't really feel she put much effort into playing the game. I think she just kind of just was like, right, okay, I'll just let under the radar. But I think I agree. I don't think the right winner won. I do believe that Sam and Pete should have won.
Yeah, sure. I do think we had like 5 uniquely different games from the 5 finalists. Like we said, Saffron kind of got to like float as herself. Big Nasty kind of like did his own thing unapologetically.
in the opposite direction that he should have been in.
Yeah, like he was like a salmon swimming upstream type of thing. Like,
yeah.
But it worked out for him. And then you had Denise, who is trying to shoot the salmon swimming upstream. Like she's going after that catfish. You've got Rachel, who is the most well connected by a landslide. And then you had Will.i.am, who was just like literally on Saturn for all of it. So kind of just like doing what he wanted to just because he didn't really have the footing to do anything else, where I feel like Big Nasty did what he wanted to, or Lady Leisure did what she wanted to because she had like the authority to, like she had the opportunities to, where Will.i.am was kind of like, all right, let's say Kim's name because no one else has, type of thing. So I thought we did have 5 uniquely different games happening, and I do think that Big Nasty wasn't viewed as the most popular, hence why literally all the votes. And I'm going to try something here. So share screen. Here we go. If I get any text messages that say anything stupid in this time, I apologize. But so this was the voting that happened. And shout out to some dude on Twitter who tweeted it. And then shout out to Randy, who alerted me of this, and then I verified its results, and he's like, yeah, it's on the Circle's Twitter or Instagram account. I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. Thank you. Bye. So anyway, look at Big Nasty, all the first place votes, except for obviously Big Nasty's, who gave it to Rachel. So I think what's interesting is Rachel got as many 4th place votes as Will.i.am. That's like,
Oh.
I mean, Saffron was voting strategically. She put fucking Big Nasty and Will.i.am as 1 and 2.
Oh my God. 100%
and they were the last 2 on the other round, right? It was Will.i.am and Big Nasty on the bottom, the round before. So very strategic. So
I do think that we were like, oh, Saffron might have been trying to be the most strategic out of everyone.
Yeah.
So I just thought that this was interesting that, straight up Big Nasty won. There was no competition with it. So, and Saffron got 3 of the 4 second place votes, and usually that does enough for you, except if the first place winner gets all the first place votes. So just figured I would share that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen before someone texts me something stupid. That's like always my nightmare as a teacher, that I'm like, did I only share the window and not my screen?
Yeah.
I've got dumb friends who say dumb things. I do not need all right. So that was the end of it. And overall, Fern, how do you feel about this season?
I loved it. To be honest, like I said at the beginning, I think I'm always a bit skeptical with celebrity versions of things, especially celebrity versions after the non-celebrity version has been so successful. And I like it so much. I'm always a bit like, oh, I don't know. But it works so well. I would love to see it again, but maybe for a bit longer. I'd love to see them in there for, like, say, double the time, like 2 weeks, and see how it altered. Because I don't think that's unreasonable for a 2-week stint, even for a celebrity, to be honest.
Right.
But to do that. But yeah, no, I can't wait to see it again, and hopefully that they'll all be watching this series on how they did it, and they can kind of will come in with a bit more ammunition of their characters and stuff like that. But I hope they do it again, and I hope they do it bigger as well.
Leandro, how about you? What did you end up thinking about the entire season?
I loved it. I really did. It was so much fun. It was so entertaining. Good, first of all, a good cause, right? That was very important in the season. Great cast, lots of chaos, very good TV gold moments. I felt it was very entertaining. Even though the winner, it could have been someone more deserving, I still had lots of time, and I would think of the winner with in a good place of my heart, because I love Late Leisure as a person. Like, I didn't know before. Also, very good opportunity to get to know different celebrities that doesn't come to North America and South America, because where I'm originally from. So I really liked it. It was a fun ride, and I agree with Fern. It should be a little bit longer. It left that taste of like, I want more. Like when you think that only one celebrity came after. It was only one person who
Yeah.
substituted and evicted. So that was missing a little bit, but overall,
Yeah, there's that like natural like OG versus newbie alliance that happens every season, and that didn't even have a chance to permeate because we only had one new
Well, it
person.
wasn't, was it? No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but overall was very, very fun. And I'm gonna watch the season 3 that started tonight, right?
Yeah.
So
What a great transition.
I am excited to keep on the circle train. So that's it.
Mhm. So, I personally would watch this 10 times over. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
great. So bring on more British celebrities I've never heard of. And as long as they are entertaining, I'm here for it. So I love this season. So I overall 2 big thumbs up. It's been amazing getting to podcast about it. So we'll kind of tie this up here. I first want to thank Fern and Leandro for joining me and talking about this. Leandro has now put in like close to 4 hours of his time.
Yeah, it's a good shift, that is.
Talking to me. Like, there are
Good
people
shift.
who
And I
would
would do it
pay
again. And
a
I'll
decent
absolutely do
amount
it
of
again.
money to not do that. Like, they would do a lot to avoid that. So, Leandro, I genuinely appreciate what you've put into this and joining me. Fern, from all the way across in her figment of imagination land, joining the people we brought in. So, like, we've had people who've watched all 3, Abby and her mom, like they at my most loyal fans. So just, we are so appreciative of what you guys have already put into this short little season. It has been great. So Isaiah and Silent Podcast, thank you for the opportunity to let us talk about it. But the good news is a regular season starts literally today. It was already on. We're hoping that we've done well enough that they'll let us come back. You'll see some familiar faces. You'll hopefully see some new faces coming in and talking about this. But it's a 3-week season on every night except for Saturday for the next 3 weeks. So it is going to be Fast and Furious. If this was Fast and Furious, then we've got Too Fast, Too Furious coming up. We got the sequel coming in hot.
Yeah.
So we will definitely be back for that. One final note, Leandro, which member of One Direction was it that was hitting on your celebrity friend?
I cannot say that. I can really can't, especially not on air. That's confidential.
All right. Well, I expect a DM immediately after this ends.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you for joining us. And this is Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. And you will definitely be hearing from us very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, week, whenever you decide to listen to this.
Bye-bye.